and you're basically doing what Dream 11 or my 11 circle does, and you're competing pretty much for similar sort of share. Now, what CrickPe is trying to really double in on is Ashneer Grover's brand, and he's become the face of it. And I think in one of the interviews that he was sharing, I think this is the Ghaziabad interview or something that I was seeing, he talked about how he's leveraging his own personal brand to for customer acquisition, and that's one of the reasons why you're seeing him literally everywhere.
Welcome to what episode number maybe 2, but actually 22 of Jams. I'm gonna start introducing people. We're back with Virat Kohli. Sorry, Akash Bhatt, who just looks like Virat Kohli. Sorry, Virat Kohli just looks like him. Who I have no idea who's older. Is Akash older or is Virat Kohli
I think
older?
he's just a few years older.
Well, he knew it, bro. Tell me his birth date.
I don't know his birthday, dude. November sometime.
I think it's 18 December, but I'm just shooting it out because his jersey is always 18. But anyway, the Desi. Fuck, man.
Virat Kohli is older by
Virat
3 years. He's 88 born.
Virat, oh, Virat Kohli is older, but younger Virat Kohli, the champion of India, Akash Bhatt, the man who is still at an airport. I don't know which one, but in someone's Instagram story for sure.
Oh, dude, it's been
And I
crazy this
think
week.
nobody can find out where Jitesh is because he's tagged everywhere across the globe. At
Today
all
I
the
was tagged
airports.
across Dubai, South Korea, and Bombay.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know the meaning of flex, that is exactly what it is. Done by a man right there. The man who was missing at one of the meetups recently, which created a big buzz that how is this meetup a meetup because Suhas wasn't there. Down with flu, but always down to jam. Suhas, what guys? Welcome to Jams, and obviously me, who is your host. And I wanted to say Dost, but it sounds so cheesy. I don't want to say it.
We
But
are people's
yeah,
BFFs, so that makes sense.
yeah, we got your BFF and awesome guys. I mean, I wouldn't say thanks for joining because you have to, but I'm excited about this one because recently I saw this random ad on Twitter where there was this lady who runs on a cricket pitch and goes and takes off her necklace and puts it on top of a bowler who got a guy out, and then behind it there comes Ashneer Grover saying download ClickPay. So we know the startup that's making the buzz. I want to start this particularly with somebody who is the biggest cricket fan over here, Akash.
Yeah, Akash, do you want to share how CrickPe is probably different from MPL Dream 11?
So one of the things that I read, I haven't played around with the app as yet or made my team. The IPL is just around the corner. But from the reports that I've read, the biggest differentiation is that apparently the players can get money. And the way that it's going to work is a portion of your winnings, if you'd like to dedicate it back to a player on field, he or she, depending on if the women's cricket also is going to get involved in it, can accept the payment. And if they do accept the payment as form of a gift, it's going to be free. So it's tax free for the athlete. But CrickPay is going to take a portion of that transaction fee, and you are able to dedicate some of your winnings and earnings to them. So the way that it works is very similar to any of the other fantasy platforms that you have, where on-field performance is going to give you off-field gains, and you put together your team, and you're basically doing what Dream 11 or my 11 circle does, and you're competing pretty much for similar sort of share. Now, what CrickPay is trying to really double in on is Ashneer Grover's brand, and he's become the face of it. And I think in one of the interviews that he was sharing, I think this is the Ghaziabad interview or something that I was seeing, he talked about how he's leveraging his own personal brand to for customer acquisition, and that's one of the reasons why you're seeing him literally everywhere. And he said that instead of going and spending 60-70 lakhs every month on customer acquisition. I don't know if that number is correct. I don't know if it's 60-70 lakhs or 60-70 crores. Maybe it's crores, which is apparently what Dream 11 and some of these other companies are spending on a monthly basis for customer acquisition. He's spending just about 1/100th of it, or even probably lesser than that. And the only reason he's doing that is because he's trying to drive everything through his brand. And that's going to be the pure customer acquisition strategy in the early days. Now, where it's going to differ is in terms of how they're getting involved with user engagement. From the early rumors that I've heard from people who have had a chance to like play around with it, the experience is a little different from Dream 11 and stuff. Now, how is it different? Now, Dream 11 at least lets you like put together a team and everything, but CrickPay here has a little bit more stat heavy, kind of gives you like a more comprehensive data in terms of understanding which player that you want to select. And I've heard, I don't know, again, nothing that I've used, but apparently you do have recommendation engines that kind of like builds over time in terms of your style of play. So the algorithm kind of like understands who you are and what is your style of putting together teams, and over time it kind of starts making recommendations so that you are better positioned to actually win. So your chances of winning for you is kind of like, it kind of like goes up because you think you're put together a very strong team, but on the other side every other person that you're also competing with gets the same recommendation engine, right? So it kind of makes it, it's counterintuitive if you think about it. It's because you're trying to say that we are trying to give you all the information for you to make the best team, but on the other hand, so is your head to head. If you're going head to head with somebody else, so is the other person. So your chances of actually winning, it goes down significantly, but that allows
Correct.
CrickPay to actually make more
Manav,
money. So which is interesting in terms of how
Manav,
it is
just
built.
before you come in, I'll also add in the marketing. Just one point on, hey, how are they marketing this? Um One on Akash, you mentioned personal brand leverage, that's for sure. But if you see in one way, they're also help him bumping up his own personal brand, which if you see his Instagram, he's doing ads, and like he's taking money into his personal account for influencer ads, etc. Right? And he did share recently that the amount of money that is flowing in from just influencer ads is a lot for him. Right. So it's not a one-way street. I think yes, for the company point of view, he can say, okay, hey, I'm leveraging my personal brand, which is also true. Initially it will help him reduce CAC, but everything that they're spending here will help him increase his personal brand reach, which he will charge from anywhere. So that is one point. Second, the larger play that they're trying to drive against Dream 11 is that, hey, most of these of your favorite cricketers are spending time doing endorsements and then are not performing on the pitch, right? So here, what you can do is put money where your mouth is. If you think, okay, XYZ player is going to perform today, put your money there, and if they do perform well, they will also earn from this, right? So they eventually will not have to do any of these endorsements. That is the entire marketing play that they're trying to do. And from what I heard, I think it might get into legal tussles given their contracts with BCCI. I don't know if this is 100% legal in terms of gifts also. If you think of it, it's in some form like spot betting in some form, right? Yeah, it doesn't directly come into the way because there's a little more transparency. The player is not directly in touch and there is no contact there. But yeah, maybe I'm not 100% sure if this is, if the players are legally allowed to take this money. Not too sure about that.
It's a gray area. So the players, I mean, if you consider it in the form of gift, you can definitely like get away from being held against any betting sort of allegations. But what we've seen in the IPL historically with spot betting, it most players will probably not be doing it in the first season at least. You will not see a Virat Kohli going and taking
100
a
rupees,
hundred
no,
rupee
but
donation
over
from
time,
somebody.
that
I
100
don't
rupees
see that
from
happening. I
like
don't see
millions of
anybody
players
doing it.
is good money over time. But another question is what stops, if at all they allow CrickPay to do this, then what stops a Dream 11 from launching something very similar? It's just a feature for them, right? Every app is going to have that as a feature. And
I have more of a question around ethics more than.
So before you come in, Manav, just one quick thought. What I really feel this is going to do, and this is nothing to do with the players cashing money out, is eventually all these players, or all the, if I'm a user, so not players, if I'm a user and giving money back, let's say I put 500 rupees back into this account and say I want to give this to Virat Kohli, how long is it going to sit in that account? Because if it sits there for 6 months, this is something that CrickPay can actually leverage
Yeah, it's like
and
treasury
earn some
for
interest
them in
on.
between.
true, escape.
That's another way
Yeah.
for them to
Also,
monetize.
like this. Yeah.
So maybe millions of people giving 100 rupees can actually end up
The need to
becoming
raise
a
money
good
in a bad market, no?
rev-
It's like the Starbucks gift card, right?
Yeah. Starbucks gift card and
exactly.
airline frequent flyers. But like, if something like this actually is allowed, then it's not just about cricketers because, like, think of this from like small creators. We're only right now talking about like the 0.01%. Does this sort of signal like a restart of the creator economy again, which sort of went on the downward side currently? Given, I mean, the three sectors that sort of didn't receive the love or like had a zero interest, the 0%, the zero interest rate thing was obviously creator economy was one of them in my opinion, where like a bunch of people started to create.
Why would you call it, but I would call it creator
No, I
economy.
mean more like helping creators. Like right now we're only talking about IPL and like the top of the top cricketers, but think of this happening in Ranji Trophy. Think of this happening in for like small indie artists. How does this play out there? Because ultimately, it's a financial transaction that is the regulatory part here,
Wait,
no?
I fail to understand how other creators are getting involved in this. How do you?
Not right now. I'm not saying right now. I'm saying it's ultimately transfer of money through a
So
platform.
I'll break it down in a different way. I get what Jitesh is trying to get to. It is that the fact that you're you're able to establish this mechanism of people getting paid for what they're doing in a competitive setting can be translated parallelly across the ladder. Am I correct, Jitesh?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, competitive setting is one way. It could be any setting technically. No, like competitive is obviously a great way to start this. Uh, yeah. So yeah, any winning or losing basically. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, any
I think it
sport,
came from that
anything.
industry. You know,
But
if you think what YouTube
that's
did with
exactly what
gifts and a lot
Proto
of
is.
these TikTok and all these platforms in China, I think so it came
Yeah,
from that industry. If you
exactly.
think of it, this is already yeah. Go for it. Go for it, man.
So I have some questions. So my first question is, how is this A, when you're playing cricket, is it applicable for national
Not
level
yet.
as
They're
well?
starting with just IPL right now, but eventually maybe.
Okay, okay. Because I see a very, if it's IPL, A, I think everyone needs to be on the platform, or
It
is it
doesn't
just
matter. No,
certain
right
people?
now only if you see, they will list all the players.
No, the ability to gift. The ability to gift. I'll tell you why. Because right now the volumes are slow, and if the argument is that they're spending too much time on endorsements a lot of money. So if you're thinking that you can make that endorsement money just from fans paying you, you can make it. But when that volume starts coming in, it becomes so influential in a sport that it's not only about performance, it can have huge ethic issues. I think in the first place, if you're playing against somebody, me and Jitesh are friends, and I know Jitesh gets X amount of credit out of the game at the end of the day, and we know how much money is going in. And he's like, bro, if I score 100, people will give me X much. Let me, and then uske baad out kar liyo. You're just putting in money on the play right away. Like how, and that too, if the volume and the magnitude you're talking about is so high, and you're like, we'll play a fair game, but ये करने दे, इसमें अगर तीन छक्के मार देता हूँ फिर देख लेंगे. I
But
mean,
that's
because
exactly
गिफ्ट
what
चाहिए
makes
तो
it not fair, no? Isn't this like, it's like I'm holding my ear like this and now I'm holding my ear like this. Like it's ultimately doing the same thing, which is like sort of a form of betting in my opinion. Just approaching rivalry. So for example, like in
yeah.
your example, man, the way just by saying that, hey, let's play a fair game, but the moment you add a but to it, it's not a fair game.
Okay. So the other point that I was trying to
Akash,
make
sorry to
here,
break your flow.
yeah, the point I was trying to make here is that you have certain amount of prizes that an athlete can actually win every time he or she steps onto the field, and that is usually in the range of like 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs. That's player of the match award, most sixers, best catch, etc., etc. So you do know that there's money riding, maybe not directly, but there's an opportunity for you to win should the performance actually match up to standards or better than anybody else on the field. Now, quite similarly, I think with the approach that they're trying to take is that, hey, today I know there's 1 crore worth of rupees that I can win should my performance actually be good, and therefore I'm going to win money. It's not ulta betting where it is, hey, Surya Kumar Yadav is not going to perform in today's game, and
Akash,
therefore I'm betting
I
on
know
that.
one.
So, but Akash, like to your point, let's say if I'm Surya Kumar Yadav and I know I have like extra, let's say 1 crore riding on me. If I'm your teammate, what stops me from giving you more strike to score more runs on purpose?
But even you have no that chance. So if you are my teammate, even
But different money is riding on different people now because our brand affinities are different. Isn't that the brand point that we were just making?
mm, it's an interesting one, but I think yeah, I mean Virat Kohli will always
Maybe
have
let's
more money
revisit it. Let's
riding on him
revisit
because
it.
more number of people will have him on the team. So
Why don't we see how this plays out and we can revisit it next week once a few matches are done
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some of us have
done.
tried it.
I'll give you one
I
fun
mean,
fact to what
to
Akash said
me,
though.
this sounds.
Is like for example, okay, man of the match, you have some award, you have number of like highest number of sixes, but the man of match earning or the that sixes wala earning, four wala earning, best catch, that money doesn't go to the individual player. That gets split across the team. So this theory of hey that much money riding on me, we think okay that additional money will go to that player and that kitty gets divided by the entire team. So anyway that will also not matter if you think of it in general sense. That also will not matter to one person's earning.
It's not that high anyway, like 50,000 rupees sometimes, which is like that's their
Yeah,
monthly
I think
grooming
90%
expense.
earnings come from brand. Yeah,
Yeah, fair.
yeah.
No, I think
Let's
interesting to see how it
actually
plays out.
play.
I mean, I admire Ashneer's boldness to take on these kind of problems, which are, I mean, I won't say it's a problem really. It's just take on these spaces. So, yeah.
Yeah, again, look, for me, I think one thing I've learned is that specifically with betting platforms, the house always wins. In whichever way you do it, doesn't make any difference. So if you want to make a money guzzling machine, you can. You can be very profitable. The unit economics are rock solid. Uh, they're like one of the best actually across the industry if you look at online. uh, they're the most cash efficient ones because people it's a habitual product. People will come back again and again. High repeat, high engagement, high frequency. No, 100%, 100%.
Yep, let's definitely
But
try out the
who's
platform.
gonna download ClickPay? For you guys, who's gonna download? I'm not downloading. I'm not.
I'm not a cricket person, so maybe these two guys are going to do it.
Okay, cool. So Akash, Suhas is the only one who's gonna download ClickPay, lose us some money,
I was just going to start
and
this segment back by saying, okay, it's decided Manav's going to download CrickPay, and you said Suhas. But yeah, I'll check it out and I'll report back.
I know exactly when people are gonna say something. But okay, cool guys. Let's see how quick pay, sorry, not quick pay, but quick pay goes out, and we can revisit it and see how fantasy leagues translate otherwise. But the other day, I actually shared a tweet with one of my portfolio companies, and it was basically this guy who showed how you can develop applications through ChatGPT within just few hours or in fact even minutes as compared to what you would have done otherwise. And the reply I got was, yep, we've just been disrupted, man. Building applications is no longer the big problem statement. If we don't take this seriously, we're done in a year. But it's also a good opportunity to take the learnings that we've had so far to do something new. And it's keeping a lot of people like awake right now on how fast software can be developed, particularly across the board, especially now with these plugins. But I just wanted to get a little bit of a general sense, Jitesh, something from you around companies which had were software first, where their belief was on hiring a lot of high value engineers who can now do this at a faster, cheaper cost. But what what are get who according to you are getting disrupted right away, and what do you think is going to change down the line?
So, I'll try and compress this quickly. I think there are two parts. So I'll first answer my broader thesis around this. I think in the medium or long term, one, I think there is any team trying to build from today, I think stands to have a very unique advantage in terms of how they can build. Which means I think if you combine a GitHub Copilot and how ChatGPT 4 is, I think future engineering teams or software development teams will probably be a fraction of what you need today, maybe 1/5 broadly. I mean, I'm just taking a random number right now, but 1/nth somewhere. Partly because I think, but what kind of people would you need? I actually feel you might need more smarter, lesser smarter people, and you may not need some like junior people to do like some menial tasks, right? That certainly gets automated. That's my broad thesis. Where so which means like, so that's obviously from today, right? So someone's trying to build today, if they don't build it a little smartly, trying to build these principles from ground up, I think they're being stupid. Um, does that what does this do for companies that are already in place, obviously, which are like a bunch of these? I don't think it's something you can just like restart today, right? You can't just say, hey, let me just incorporate Copilot. And that's why I'm actually putting ChatGPT not in isolation and combining it with GitHub Copilot, because it's sort of very closely interlinked, specifically around software development. So I think like so I feel like anybody who's sort of really worried about them being disrupted, I feel it's somewhere a bit insecure. Why would you be worried about disruption if, like, are you worried about execution then? Because ultimately it is about execution, right? And I think we'll know in maybe a year's time how some of this plays out. Like, for example, take, let's say, MailChimp, for example, right? I think every large piece of software company will somewhere be disrupted. Now, whether they do it themselves, like a HubSpot, if you see, Dharmesh has launched his own thing. I think he bought chat.com or something. Or do others do it? I think will be the interesting point. And I actually have a non-software example of this is how Star allowed Hotstar to actually be born, which was sort of putting a question mark over your own existing business model and allowing for innovation to happen, or sort of being going with the times. So I feel like that will be more interesting to me, to see which ones are incorporating it. How, like, for example, like what would the likes of Zapier do? What would the likes of HubSpot do? What will Salesforce do? What will a MailChimp do? Like, if someone's rebuilding a MailChimp today, what will that look like? Right? Is that even required? Is the question I want to ask. I think it's also sort of similar to the Web3 wave, and no offense to anybody building there, but like where everybody tried to have these clones, like Web3 for this for this. The question was, is it really needed, or is it just because you can do it? Because often there are solutions looking for problems. I think there's a large number of these which are actually solutions looking for problems, and problems don't really exist. That's my long and short of it at this point. And for me, I'm also of the opinion that it's also largely linked to the broader AGI point of that it's eventually going to make us work differently, not sort of make people extinct. Um, it's similar to, like, if you go back to the history of how innovation really happened, um, like, if when the first before the first car was made, um, people wanted a faster horse cart.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody wanted a car, but when the car was made, look at the uses that have happened. I think we're in those kind of moments over the next few weeks, months, and years, and that is something that's, to me, that's the lens to be looked at, and not the lens of, hey, this is going to disrupt me. Let's embrace it. It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Why are we like sort of shying away from it? And the last point that I feel like, I think, which actually means that I actually feel you need to be like, think of it like this, right? All of us who've written a lot, you know the value of editing. Um, I think that's where it will become more important, because context and nuance is required in editing, but like you can just like dump out a first draft. Um, to me, like, that will become very interesting. So I can have ChatGPT like put out a strategy of how I want a certain thing to be, but how do I edit it? And prompt making becomes very interesting. It's all, by the way, like, if you think about it, we're actually going backwards from like voice back to text, which is again very interesting to me. So I think like these are broad pointers which I wanted to throw out, and obviously each itself is like a 1 hour discussion.
So
One
as you're working
nuance.
with a lot of product managers, particularly,
Yeah,
or
not
working
just
with
product managers. I feel like Just nuances I wanted to add. I think you covered most of the point. Just nuances, right? Uh, you spoke about, say, editing as one of the examples. Prompt engineering will definitely become a thing. But if you had three copywriters, for example, now you don't need more than zero point 0.5, right? So that one level higher work will get automated.
But Suhas, the question is, what level of copywriter do you actually need then? The
What
the
level of?
intelligence of the copywriter. So like if you had three copywriters at a X level of intelligence, humans, right? When you need the 0.5, like it goes back to like it's a horrible way of saying it, but like a 10x engineer example. So do you actually like now need one smart copywriter to do part-time work? Because the three that you would have had would have been like super smart. Like that was the point I was trying to make. That will upskilling become far
That's
more
already
important
happening.
now?
This is already happening. So that point 0.5, you're thinking you need someone smarter to do it. You don't. That smartness is also going to be fed back. Yes, prompt engineer will be a thing on, hey, how do we use ChatGPT very smartly? But those tools are already coming through. All those tools are already coming through. And speak about innovation. Okay, we did speak about jobs, right? But within innovation also there are certain sectors that get impacted. Kodak was leading in cameras. Is nowhere to be seen because now cameras are within your phones, right? So that innovation is going to come through here also. You're not going to see, yes, jobs on a total front might stay similar, but in my opinion, a lot of manual jobs are going to get eliminated here.
No, what I meant was to try and understand, particularly with early stage. What I meant was the first layer of jobs is different, and what the final layer of jobs which will get changed will be different. And in the middle, you'll try and adapt to something and build something out. What I wanted to get a little bit of sense of was on the product folks community, specifically product managers who are coming in. How are they trying to see what's changing at their job role on ground right now from the tech aspect front? Is there at workplaces, is there stuff that's changing in these companies or not?
See, all of them are leveraging it for sure. If they aren't, then they will in the next 3 months. Because right from research to the manual parts of writing a PRD, yes, the thought part will not get eliminated today. Hopefully, not
Yeah.
too much hopefully not in the near future. But all of them are leveraging it for sure, right? So today we launched something called writepmyprd.ai, right? 80% of the
Hmm.
skeleton you will get there, right? Building blocks you will get there. You can sit and tweak it. Like that, you will see on the recruitment side a lot of stuff that will come through, right? How do you summarize? Suppose you're getting thousands of these profiles. Tomorrow, I want to hire a product manager. A senior product manager, some part of your time will go into hiring, right? Now, today you put out a post on LinkedIn saying you're hiring for a product manager, you'll get 1,000 profiles, right? AI can help you sift through these much, much faster. Say that, okay, these are for the kind of stuff you're looking for. These are the 10 people you should talk to, right? That is going to happen. Now, to those 10, can you send personalized email outreaches via GPT? Possible. Can you say them personalized case studies based on, one template that you put? ChatGPT goes through, creates 10 versions of it, and shoots it through, right? Again, one part of your work is eliminated. Then you're directly on round three with them where you want to do, but there's a lot of time saving that has happened in this entire process. So those are kind of stuff. Then it comes down to research. When I told you, okay, today Bing has come out with a very innovative way. Like if you log into Bing today, no one uses Microsoft Bing, but they've got the latest access to GPT right now, right? So it has the live information that is fed into right from OpenAI. So you can use it as a conversing thing, and I have it right now on WhatsApp, right? There's a WhatsApp integration to it. So even things that I used to Google, like, okay, for example, I was sitting with mom had to ask me something, I just put it on WhatsApp because I didn't want to exit that ecosystem. I got back the exact answer. I didn't have to go through Google, open up one or two links to see what's going on. I got that exact answer. Now, I believed it because I think, okay, this is going to be super accurate. So as long as accuracy is there, then you're seeing how workflows are changing. Eventually tomorrow you're just going to be talking to your one personal AI for everything, right from, hey, can you tell me what the temperature is outside, to how long is it going to take me to office, to hey, it's X's birthday today, can you just order, using workflows what OpenAI has also gotten through. Can you book an Uber? Can you, like, a lot of this stuff is going, the automations are going to come in
Yeah.
very, very powerful on top of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Plus, I mean, I think like ultimately, I think the most interesting thing for me is I would have not expected, like, everybody used to think like Google has a monopoly in search. I think for the first time ever, I think that's being questioned. Which, if something like that is questioned, Manav, I think like any other early stage startup thinking we are dead, I don't know what to say there, because yeah, like that's the nobody even thought that that would even be a day where you would not think of Google search, right? Like we've grown up in the last 20-25 years around that. So that I think to me is, and I think
No,
guys, I'll have to drop off
so
with
I
this.
wanted to
Please
ask you
continue.
next.
I'll listen to the recording. So sorry.
I have one last question with Akash. Sure, man, Jitesh, have a good one. Akash, one very particular one around what's the the valley is already. I mean, not just to ask around what's happening at the valley, but just from your sense in being an investor, would you think that any software company that at today's two questions actually? One, so A, should all software companies or the new age companies have AI on their roadmap in one way or the other? That's one. And my second question is actually, if everyone has the access to the same GPT platform available, so that means everyone's been put to a similar level playing field, what advantage can you build there? Because you're already at the same field which everyone has access to.
I'll answer that question by saying that we're looking at this slightly wrong. In my opinion, ChatGPT or OpenAI's AI software or whatever is going to follow is going to be the new AWS. It's going to be the underlying infrastructure for what we build companies on top of.
Hmm.
And to your question of should companies be thinking about it on their roadmap, the answer to that question is not hell yeah. The answer to that is yes, everybody is already doing it. It's just that
Hmm.
now we're riding a trend.
Hmm.
People were doing it long before. It's like saying how crypto was hot 2 years ago. Crypto was hot because every Aam Aadmi was talking about it, but crypto had been hot in certain circles for the longest period of time. So it's about what is the media doing about it. The media is putting a lot of attention on AI right now, but AI has been hot for the longest period of time. Now, how is that going to impact everything else, right? What kind of technologies that you're seeing and everything is going to come about? People will start building on top of this tech stack. And to the point that we were earlier trying to make, which is, hey, it's going to eliminate all of these jobs. I don't think it's going to eliminate jobs. I think it's going to make people more efficient and more impactful. You will still need some sort of like human intervention at some point. Like people will still want to work with people. Like think about customer success teams. You can automate a lot of the customer success processes because 70% of them is purely repetitive. You're just doing tasks that AI can do for you. You're reading emails and you're replying. The AI can read emails, understand your tone of voice, and draft a response and put it in your email inbox for you to just hit send. It can then automate a bunch of other related tasks like updating CRM, tagging the right account manager, putting in notes, scheduling meetings. All of this is being done already. It's about connecting this and putting this in like one big large interface or a layer that kind of does all of these interrelated jobs. But at the end of the day, when I am buying software from somebody, I don't want to be querying with a chat bot. I want to speak to a real person. Now, what AI is going to do is it's going to make this person's job easy. Now, you're going to be spending 70% of your time on building relationships, managing churn, upselling, inside sales, right? So, you as a customer success person today have the power to bring all of this knowledge and put it in front of you for you to make better decisions in life. Very similarly, product managers will have much more time on their hands to be spending time on more impactful projects that they can bring to life and ship sooner and faster than ever before. So, going back to what Jitesh is saying, it is going to make everybody 10x, if not 100x. So
Hmm.
it's about how you're able to like adapt around it and build your own personal skill sets, but also make sure you're catching up with everybody else because you're going to die if you're not going to involve AI in some way as part of your roadmap. It's about how does that really fit into your business strategy, your business model, and give you a cutting edge, which is why I say it's going to be an underlying infrastructure like an AWS. Everyone's going to be using it.
Awesome. No, I think I do tend to agree with that. I think it's just gonna be the norm in the blood, but it's just been given so much of hype and love. I think there are these cycles that
I
keep
read,
happening.
I
I
read
mean,
it.
what ChatGPT is insane though. It's like when I was first introduced to the internet and how I felt was I felt
Yeah.
it's a similar feeling.
I don't know how far this is true, but I read a tweet this morning which talked about the sentiment of AI in the Silicon Valley. So YC arranged a citywide tour for all of its founders who are in the city, and the tour guide asked them a simple question: "What are all of you guys building?" And everybody was like, "I'm AI this, I'm AI that, I got AI here, I got AI there." And then the tour guide looks at everybody and says, "Yeah, last year was all crypto and Web3." So that just goes to show you the sentiment of Silicon Valley towards AI. Every company today is an AI company.
All right, guys, I got to bounce as well, but always all hearts and thank you for joining.
See you guys.
Uh, See you, Virat, and see you, Suhas.